Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. So today on My Way Academy today we're going to be guiding you on calculus. So follow me through. So what is calculus? Calculus is a branch of mathematics that deals with the change of things, and it is subdivided, or it is divided into two, which is differentiation and integration. You see, calculus is not really a sense of big topic in mathematics, but the problem that a lot of our students have is the fact that they don't actually understand the concept of calculus. So let me break it bit by bit for us all. Now, the concept of calculus is to understand the change of things, how things tend to change. So the concept of all what you see in calculus is that you tend to want to understand. The goal is to understand why a thing change and what does it change to. And that is why you see in the place of differentiation, you see that differentiation deals with what the change in functions. The change in functions. So we can, let me use that illustration. You remember, all of you quite remember that when we're dealing with slope of a graph, when you are doing plotting of graph, doing algebraic expressions, plotting of graph or quadratic equations, simultaneous equation, you're taught on how to plot and find the slope of a graph. And in the formula, you created a formula there. A formula was created for you, which formula was the change in y over the change in x. So you see, change. So that's the concept of calculus. So instead of you using that a lot of stress in plotting a graph and finding the change before you can find it, it's going to take you a lot of time. So Isaac Newton, right, produced something very logical and simple for us to be able to find changes of all these curves or all these linear equation, quadratic equation, polynomial equations. Give us a more faster way in solving, and that's where calculus came in place. So calculus is divided into two: differentiation and what? Integration. But today we're talking about differentiation. What is differentiation? Differentiation is the change in functions. So how function change. Now, what is function? That's where a lot of students don't get it. What is functions? So functions, like I say, now functions, let me give you details by detail. We always use the word like this term, f of x. That means the function of x. Now what function simply means is simple. It's just like a grinding machine. When you hold a grinding machine, right, you know that in a grinding machine, the goal of a grinding machine, why it is open in this mouth, is the fact that you must put something in it and it's ground, right? So function is like that grinding machine, right? It's a grinding machine. So simply means, it implies that whatever you put in that grinding machine and you either turn it on or started grinding with your hand, depending on what kind of grinding machine you are using, either handmade grinding machine or electric grinding machine, there must be a change in whatever you input. So that means there must be an input value, right? And there must be what? An output value. So that's what we mean by function. So when you hear the function of x, simply means just imagine a grounding machine. Imagine a grounding machine. And so you can see now, you see then you see function of x. Now the x means that this x now, they can tell you that find the function of, we can ask you now that if I say the f of x is equals to, the function of x is equals to 2x. So this 2x now automatically is the grounding machine. So if I now say when x is equals to 3, what will be the value, which means what will be the output. So 3 is the what? The tomato I'm putting, either the pepper I want to put, the value of x. So if I say f of 3 to be equals to what? 2 open bracket of 3, which is equals to what? 6. So you see, automatically simply means if I put the tomato inside the grinding machine, when it has been grounded, it will produce what? A grounded tomato. So that's what function is. So you see, don't be scared when you're hearing the word function. It's not something big. It's just the logical explanation of this is grinding machine, you inputting something into it, and so on and so forth. But that's not our focus today, because I believe you are used to this already. The goal is to solve what is called differentiation, which is part of calculus. Now, differentiation is the change. Differentiation is the change in what? In function. And in the change in function, that's what we call derivative. And that's what we produce what we call the y dx. When we have the change in y, we have the change in x. Now note that y is always known to be the what is it called? Dependent variable. Dependent variable, while the x is always known as the independent variable in this concept. So we have principles. We have the general formula for solving differentiation or derivative, and we also have what we call the first principle. Now, the general formula for solving derivative, allow me to clean the board. Permit me to clean the board. Yes. Now, the first formula for the general formula is, we have a formula, as I know you are familiar with this, n a n x raised to the power of what? A minus 1. This is our general formula. So that implies that if I say y is equals to 2x squared, if I to use that formula, this formula here, this power, whatever is in the power, will multiply the coefficient. N means is the coefficient of what? Of the variable. Coefficient of the variable, and a is the power. Is that true? So if I'm having 2x squared, simply means the y over the x will simply means what? To be 2, which is what? The power 2 times this, then your x, what? Raised to the power of what? 2 minus 1, which implies that it's going to be 4x. So this is using the general formula. So this is what? The y dx, or the derivative of 2x raised to the power of 2. So that's that. I know you are also familiar with this. This is something that is very, very simple. So let's now go ahead. If you are not asked to use what we call the first principle. The first principle, a lot of people have different formulas for it. Some people will say we can say what that the formula is for f of x prime. Now this f of x prime means what? Dy dx. Please don't take, it means the y dx, or we can also say y prime. Is that okay? Y prime. So is equals to f of what? X plus h, which h means the change. Or the differences. It means the differences, or we can say the change in x, sorry, minus f of x, that is the original function over h. This is our general formula for finding using the first principle. So if you want to solve this very question here, it's very, very simple. So what we just need to do is to what? Find our f of what? X plus h. To find the f of x of h of this guy of 2x squared, it's going to be 2 open bracket x plus h, then your square. You're going to square it. So this is going to be what we're going to have inside. Then we have what we call our f of x, which is still the initial function, x squared. So what we do, we impute it in our values here. And don't forget, the formula is not completed without this. Mind you, f of x is equals to the as limit as what? H approaches 0. So this is the how the formula is. Limit as h about the change of x approaches what? 0. I would have like to break this, but in our next video I will do that for you. I will explain the concept of this formula. This formula, it came from the operators. There's operators in mathematics with the operators. So this formula came from an operators, and this h, it has its name, its initial name. It was not just brought from above and imputed. There's a way it was formulated. I think in our next video we'll do that. So let's continue with our solving. So in this now, we have to impute our values. We'll say what? Our f of x prime is equals to, as limit of what? As h approaches what? 0, will now be equals to what is it called? 2 open brackets what? X plus h square minus f open bracket x. Sorry, our initial value, which is 2x square over h. So now we cannot just impute the values of h in that place. We need to simplify first. We say as h approaches 0. So you cannot just impute the value. You need to simplify before imputing your value. So let's allow me to wipe this. So now in this one now we simplify. We have to simplify this guy here. This is s squared. You can choose to use Pascal triangle, which is like this one. Yeah, when it is raised to the power of 0. Whenever you have raised to the power of 0 is going to be 1. When it's raised to the power of 1, it's going to be 1. That means the coefficient of the variables will be 1. But when it is 2, raised to the power of 2, what will you have? You're going to have 1 plus 1. It's going to be 1, 2. Is it not true? Then what? 1. So if I have to expand that guy now, we're going to be having, therefore, we're going to be having 2 open brackets here, x squared plus what? 2xh plus what? h squared. If you expand it, see now, the coefficient of the first variable will be 1, the coefficient of the second variable will be what? Will be 2, and the coefficient of the last variable will be what? Will be 1. Now the question is, some of you will ask is, you understand binomial expansion. You understand that the power increases, the power decreases. You can see the power here was 2. When it comes to this side, the variable here, the power what? Reduces to 1, but the power increase at h. Now this is it. There's h value here, but the h value here is what? 0. So that's why we don't put it here. But here it increases with 1. Do you see? Then here it increases what? To 2. So the other one that has power will decrease, while the other one without power increases. So that's what one of the concepts of binomial expansion. So we have here, if you have to do that, then we have what? Minus 2x squared. Now let's expand this guy. We have therefore 2x squared plus what? 4xh plus what? 2h squared minus 2x squared over h. Don't forget that. So now, can we do some little mathematics here? Yeah, I think this guy is equal to, is what? We kill this guy. I call it kill. So that means, because this is this plus 2x squared minus 2x squared, so it becomes 0. So we have what's left here? We have 4xh plus 2h squared over h. Is that okay? So now we can what we can do now is what? We should divide all side by the value of h. So let me continue here. Allow me to continue here. Sorry, I can wipe this side. Let's divide every side by h. So therefore, you are dividing here. H will cancel this h, right? And h will cancel this many h's. So what we have here is what? F of x prime as what? Limits as what? H tend to 0 will now become 4x plus what? 2h, right? So now let's impute as h tend to 0. That means if you impute 0 here, any of c h will put 0. Simply means this guy will become 0. Therefore, f of x will be equals to what? Equals to 4x. So you see, this is how to use your first principle to solve for calculus. So this is it. You can see we got the same initial from our general formula. We got 4x. By using the first principle, we still got what? 4x. So this is the concept. Talk about the type of functions you should expect in integrations and calculus. There are 4 functions, and you must be familiar with them, because as you go on and go on, there are more on this calculus family. So do well to subscribe to our channel. Do well to follow us for amazing offers. I remain your loyal and amazing tutor, Israel Olabode. Thank you. See you.